Alright, welcome back everybody. Here we are, Flight Sim 2024. We're in career mode. We are going to be doing episode number 17, I think. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and check out our certification area this time. And we're going to look at this instrument rating for our commercial pilot license. So we got a few trainings here. I don't know if we're gonna do all of them, but we'll do some of them at least. So it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or so. And then for the next episode, we'll do the instrument rating test, which is only 10 minutes. So basically what this is we're gonna not rely on visual flying. So if it's a cloudy day rainy day, and there's poor visibility, then we're going to rely on the instrument panels in order to fly the plane. So let's go ahead and do this first one, climb and descent. It's going to be pretty easy, I think. We're just going to rely on the PFD screen to I don't know, go up and down, so it shouldn't be too bad. Alright. I am over this cough, though, from being sick. I feel relatively good. It's just this lingering cough that's killing me. Alright. So yeah, we got a white out.
We're flying over the UK's Shetland Islands, just below a thick layer of clouds. Up until now, you've been able to look outside to judge the aircraft's attitude and location. What happens when you lose that outside view? That takes us into the world of instrument flight. When you can't use the horizon for reference due to clouds, darkness, or other hindrances to visibility, you'll need to rely on your airplane's instruments. When flying on instruments alone, you'll need to rely on your attitude indicator to see your pitch and roll information. Modern cockpits like this combine several instruments into one electronic display, called a primary flight display, or PFD. Stay on heading 270, set full power, and climb up to 4,500 feet. Set full power for the climb.
Alright, 270 and 4,500 feet. Go. Alright, this shouldn't be too bad. I've done a lot of this in 2020.
We're climbing up into the cloud layer. Notice how you're starting to lose your outside view. Instead of looking out the canopy, focus your attention on the cockpit instruments. You can maintain wings level using the attitude indicator. Continue climbing to 4,500 feet.
Alright, we cross over 4,000. $4,400.
Using the vertical sped indicator and the altimeter, level off at 4,500 feet, while continuing to maintain a heading of 270. Now fly straight and level at 4,500 feet, getting used to not having an outside horizon for reference. Watch your altitude, we're aiming for 4,500 feet. You didn't maintain 4,500 feet. Okay, now keep us on this heading and take us down to 4,000 feet. Reduce power so that we can descend without gaining speed. Great, increase power again for cruise and keep us at 4,000 feet. Well done, but there's room for improvement.
All right, not too bad. All right, we'll see what's on the next one. This is turning.
Now that you've tried some climbs and descents, we'll introduce turning. Throughout this lesson, maintain your current altitude of 4,000 feet. Our heading is the direction our nose is pointing, measured in degrees. The main electronic display in front of you is the primary flight display, or PFD. At the bottom center of the PFD, we see the horizontal situation indicator, or the HSI. The HSI shows us the direction our nose is pointing, called our heading. Headings are measured in degrees, with east being 090, south 180, west 270, and north 360. Currently we're heading west. That's 270 degrees. When turning, we want to aim for a bank angle of around 20 degrees. Along the top of the attitude indicator are white lines. Each line represents 10 degrees. Normally we use about 20 degrees of bank, which is the second white line. Let's try it out. Make a turn to the left onto heading 180, using 20 degrees of bank. Keep turning until heading south, at which point, smoothly roll back to wings level. That's it, stop turning there and you'll be heading due south. Heading 180. Great, now try and maintain this heading for a short while. Now make a turn to the right, onto a heading of 350. Now smoothly roll wings level onto a heading of 350. Now maintain heading 350 for a bit. Wow, great job. So that's how we make turns using just the instruments. Next we'll look at how to handle speed changes.
Alright, speed changes are next.
Cruising at 100 knots, maintaining our heading and altitude. Let's look at how we deal with speed changes when flying on instruments. When slowing down, the wings produce less lift. To counter this, you'll need to progressively raise the nose in order to maintain altitude. Give it a try. Reduce power and bring the speed back to 70 knots. Remember to adjust the elevator trim so that you don't have to keep putting any pressure on the controls. Try to maintain 4,000 feet altitude. Good, now set power to maintain 70 knots. You need to be able to control altitude while adjusting speed. Notice how the nose needs to be a little higher than before to make up for the loss of airspeed. Use the elevator trim to adjust pitch to the new speed and maintain 70 knots for a bit. Great, now increase power to get your speed back up to 100 knots. Keep us steady on heading 350. You wandered off the heading. As we speed up, notice how you need to trim nose down to avoid climbing. That's it, now stabilize at 100 knots. Take flap settings into account. Flaps give a boost in lift, which you'll need to control in order to maintain our altitude. They also add drag, making us slow down more quickly, so be careful not to get too slow. Reduce power and slow us down to 60 knots. Keep us precisely at 100 knots. You need to maintain 100 knots.
I thought we were getting down to 60.
Good, now extend the flaps to 10 degrees. Now set flaps at 20 degrees. With the extra drag, start adding power so you don't drop below your target airspeed of 60 knots. Now stabilize at 60 knots and trim for level flight. Keep us steady on heading 350. You wandered off the heading. Wow, great job. Next we'll look at navigating on instruments alone.
Alright, that is a tougher one. See what we got on that one. No, he didn't do too bad. I thought he was yelling at us. Alright, VOR basics.
Now that you have the basics of flying the aircraft on instruments, let's look at navigation. There is a worldwide network of radio beacons that pilots use to find their way when flying IFR. The most common beacon is the VOR. I've tuned the Sunberg VOR into your NAV radio, which we're going to fly toward. To get there, we'll use the Course Deviation Indicator, CDI. That's the green arrow and bar on the HSI. I've set the CDI for a course of 170. That means we want to arrive at the VOR on a heading of 170. The CDI shows us if we are on our selected course. If the bar is to the left of center, we need to fly to the left to recapture our course. The bar is currently over to the right, so keep flying on this heading and wait for the CDI bar to start moving towards the middle.
Alright, we're looking for that green bar to start moving.
Keep us on heading 240 for now. Here it comes. Now make a left turn onto heading 170. Great, now keep the CDI bar centered and it'll take us to the VOR. You were way off on altitude holding. Try to maintain 4,000 feet altitude. getting close to the VOR now. The CDI indications might become erratic or disappear when reaching a VOR, but this is normal. Keep flying straight ahead on heading 170 for a couple miles. I think a bit more practice may be a good idea.
Alright, we'll do the... Wow, we only got a 50. I thought we did pretty good on that.
The VOR system is a classic for navigating via instruments, but modern technology has opened the door for new navigation tools. Our flight plan is made of multiple GPS waypoints. We can use those to guide us when we can't count on visibility. For this lesson, we're going to follow a similar trajectory as in the VOR tutorial, flying over Sumburg Airport while maintaining an altitude of 4,000 feet. The system looks very similar to the VOR on the avionics. We'll use the CDI. That's the pink arrow and bar on the HSI. Looking at our flight plan, we can see that we're supposed to arrive at the waypoint on a heading of 170. The CDI shows us if we are on our selected course. We've deviated on purpose so that you can see how to catch up to your intended trajectory. Just like with VOR, the gap between the bar and the CDI arrow shows us the direction that we need to head towards to catch up to our course. The bar is currently over to the right, so keep flying on this heading and wait for the CDI bar to start moving towards the middle. Here it comes. Now make a left turn onto heading 170. Great, now keep the CDI bar centered and it'll take us to the waypoint. getting close to the waypoint now. The CDI indications might become erratic or disappear when reaching a GPS waypoint, but this is normal. Keep flying straight ahead on heading 170 for a couple of miles.
All right, we should be done soon.
I think a bit more practice may be a good idea. So now you've got the basics of flying on instruments. Now we need to get back on the ground. The most common landing aid is the Instrument Landing System, or ILS for short. An ILS uses two directional radio signals, one for lateral guidance called a localizer and the other for vertical guidance called the glide slope. The localizer provides lateral guidance, which directs you onto the runway centerline. The glide slope provides the intended descent angle onto the runway. The localizer is displayed with the CDI, much like in the VOR lesson. Keep flying on a heading of 210 at 1,500 feet and we'll watch for the localizer to come alive. The localizer is moving now. Make a gentle turn to the right, intercepting the localizer and keeping the CDI in the middle. You needed to stay at 1,500 feet until reaching the glide slope. Try to maintain 1,500 feet until we intercept the glide slope. Good. Now keep the localizer bar centered and maintain 1,500 feet. The glide slope is displayed next to the altimeter on your PFD. If the green glide slope diamond is above center, you are below the glide path. We always start out below the glide slope, as we want to intercept the localizer first. We'll wait for the glide slope to start moving. Here comes the glide slope. Maintain 1,500 feet until it almost reaches the center. it comes, now reduce power a little and start to descend, using the VSI to aim for 500 feet per minute. Keep both the localizer and glide slope indications centered all the way down to the ground. Reduce speed and set flaps as needed as you make your way down the ILS. We're approaching the runway. This approach has an offset, meaning that the localizer and runway aren't lined up together exactly. Focus on following the ILS for now. We'll transition to a visual landing once we're closer to touchdown. Make only small corrections and remember that each will be more critical as we approach touchdown.
Agreed.
Great, now is a good time to transition from flying on instruments to using visual cues to complete the landing. Get us down onto the runway and then come to a smooth stop. Well done, but there's room for improvement. Alright, it's time to put what you've learned into practice. We're at 5,000 feet following a GPS route toward Sundberg. I'll ask you to perform some handling tasks to test your IFR flying skills. Follow the GPS, as shown in magenta on your CDI, maintaining 5,000 feet and 110 knots. Okay, still maintaining the GPS course, take us down to 3,500 feet, keeping 110 knots airspeed. Watch your speed, we want 110 knots. You need to work on your speed control.
Alright, maintain 110, reach 3,500 feet. One, we're gonna get rid of this ungodly trim that they got. Now, why is it going up? Alright, whatever. Alright, 3,500. And then we're gonna set our $110. That should do it. Yeah, it's going to take forever at 110, so we're going to reduce our throttle. Alright, now we're going to be leveling out.
Next, keep us at 3,500 feet and make a left turn onto heading 060.
Alright, 060, left-hand turn.
Alright, let's throw some other things your way. Watch your speed, we want 110 knots. Please bring the speed back to 70 knots. Alright, now keep us at 3,500 feet, 70 knots, and turn us to the right onto heading 225. Okay, now get us back to 110 knots. Well done, but there's room for improvement.
Alright, that wasn't too bad. I think we can do that. I think that completes our training. All right, so we completed all the training. We got an A, B. What do we got? B, A, C, C, B, and a B. So not too bad. I think we are ready to take the test though. But we'll do that on the next one. So appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helped the channel out.